Ever you had that feeling, that quiet, nagging suspicion in the dead of night that the person you show to the world isn't really you? That your laugh is sometimes a little too loud, your smile a little too practiced, your opinions a little too safe? What if I told you that this feeling isn't just a fleeting doubt, but a whisper of a profound truth? What if the beliefs you hold dearest, the ambitions that drive you, and even the love you feel were scripted for you long before you ever had a say in the matter? Imagine your life as a grand play. From the moment you were born, you were handed a role. Your parents, your teachers, the society you grew up in, they all became your directors. They taught you your lines, showed you how to stand, how to smile, how to cry, and most importantly, how to win applause. This character you've perfected, this carefully constructed identity. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human soul, called it the persona. It's the mask you wear. It's the good student, the reliable employee, the fun friend, the perfect partner. It's the version of you that is designed for maximum acceptance and minimum rejection. Think about it. That time you bit your tongue in a meeting, even though you had a brilliant idea because you didn't want to rock the boat, that's the persona. That time you agreed with friends about a movie you secretly hated, just to feel a part of the group. That's the persona. It's a survival tool, a necessary passport to navigate the complex world of human connection. It protects you, makes you palatable, and helps you fit in. But here's the terrifying part. What happens when the mask fuses with your skin? What happens when you play the part for so long that you forget who you were before the performance began? You become a collection of learned behaviors, a hollow echo of other people's expectations. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned of this, the danger of the herd morality, where we adopt the values of the crowd to feel safe, sacrificing our own unique potential in the process. We become, in a sense, a ghost in our own lives, haunting the corridors of a reality built by others. This isn't about blaming anyone. Your parents, your culture, they gave you the best script they knew. But Jung proposed a revolutionary, almost heretical idea that a truly authentic life, a life of genuine meaning and depth, only begins when you dare to look behind the mask. It begins with a journey he called individuation. This isn't a journey for the faint of heart. It's not a self-help hack or a 5-step plan to happiness. It is a radical descent into the depths of your own being, a courageous quest to reclaim the parts of yourself you were taught to hide, disown, and forget. It is the process of becoming the individual you were always meant to be, not the character you were conditioned to play. The real question is, are you ready to stop the performance and finally meet the person who's been waiting backstage all this time? So, you've decided to peek behind the mask. You've acknowledged that the polished persona you present isn't the whole story, but be warned, the moment you do, you will come face to face with what Jung called the shadow. Now, the word shadow sounds sinister, doesn't it? It conjures images of a dark, villainous twin lurking within. But this is one of the most misunderstood and beautiful concepts in all of psychology. The shadow isn't evil. It is simply what you have repressed. It's the storage locker in the basement of your psyche where you've locked away every part of yourself you deemed unacceptable. It's the raw, untamed emotions, the anger you were told was impolite, the vulnerability you were taught was weakness, the ambition you were told was selfish, the wild, creative impulses you were told were unrealistic. It's your fears, your insecurities, your secret desires, and perhaps most importantly, your untapped potential. Think of it like this. As a child, maybe you were naturally assertive and loud, but you were told, quiet down, don't be so bossy. So you repressed that assertiveness. You pushed it down into the darkness, into the shadow, and put on the persona of being agreeable and quiet. Or maybe you were a deeply sensitive and artistic soul, but you were told to be realistic and pursue a stable career. That creative fire didn't just go away, you exiled it to the shadow. Now here's where it gets interesting. The shadow doesn't just sit there quietly, it demands to be seen. And the primary way it makes itself known is through projection. Have you ever had an irrationally strong reaction to someone? That person at work who you find unbearably arrogant? Or that public figure you despise for being so attention-seeking? Jung would say, pay close attention. That intense emotional charge is a neon sign pointing directly at a quality you have disowned in yourself. Perhaps their arrogance is a distorted reflection of the healthy self-confidence you were forced to suppress. Perhaps their attention-seeking behavior mirrors a deep, unacknowledged longing within you to be seen and celebrated for who you are. As Jean-Paul Sartre suggested, we are often in bad faith, deceiving ourselves about our true nature. We condemn in others the very things we are terrified to face in ourselves. It's so much easier to point a finger at someone else's flaws than to turn inward and confront our own abandoned strengths and buried wounds. Integrating the shadow isn't about eliminating these parts. You can't. That would be like trying to live without your own shadow on a sunny day. The goal is to turn around, face it, and bring it into the light of consciousness. It's about acknowledging your capacity for anger and learning to use it as a force for setting healthy boundaries. It's about admitting your vulnerability and discovering it's the source of true connection and courage. It's about dusting off that old creative impulse and realizing it's the key to your joy. This is the work of a lifetime. It's messy, uncomfortable, and it requires profound honesty. You have to be willing to sit with the parts of yourself you find shameful. As the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer might put it, you must be willing to confront the raw, striving will within you, not just the rationalized version you present to the world. By embracing your shadow, you don't become a monster, you become whole. You reclaim the energy you've been wasting on repression and turn it into fuel for a more authentic, powerful, and complete life. You stop being a carefully curated image and start becoming a living, breathing, complex, and beautiful human being. As you venture deeper, beyond the personal mask and the personal shadow, you begin to touch something even more profound. You discover that your individual story is woven into a much larger universal tapestry. Jung called this the collective unconscious, a psychic inheritance shared by all of humanity. And the threads of this tapestry are the archetypes. Think of archetypes as the original blueprints for human experience. They are universal patterns, primordial characters, and fundamental energies that have echoed through our myths, legends, religions, and dreams for millennia. You don't learn them, you are born with them. And they are all active within you, right now, shaping your deepest motivations and desires. Let's talk about one of the most powerful, the hero. This is the part of you that yearns for a quest. It's the inner voice that calls you to grow, to overcome challenges, to leave the comfort of the known world and venture into the wilderness to find your treasure. It's the energy that propelled Viktor Frankl to find meaning even in the horrors of a concentration camp, the profound human drive to rise above our circumstances. The hero within you is what makes you want to start a business, run a marathon, write a book, or simply become a better person. It seeks purpose and strives against all odds. But every great hero story has a dragon to slay. And that dragon is often the shadow of the hero archetype. It's the voice of cynicism, the fear of failure, the internal saboteur that whispers, "You're not good enough. Who are you to even try? It's safer to just stay where you are." This isn't an external enemy. It is the embodiment of your own resistance, the internal threshold you must cross. The true heroic journey isn't about slaying literal dragons. It's about confronting this internal shadow and integrating its message of caution without letting its fear paralyze you. Then there's another crucial dance happening within your soul, the interplay of masculine and feminine energies. Jung called these the anima and the animus. In a man, the anima is the inner feminine, the archetype of relationship, intuition, creativity, and receptivity. In a woman, the animus is the inner masculine, the archetype of logic, action, assertiveness, and structure. For centuries, our societies have forced us to choose a side. Men were taught to suppress their anima, to reject their feminine side, to see sensitivity as weakness and intuition as nonsense. Women were taught to suppress their animus, to see assertiveness as unladylike and logical ambition as threatening. This creates a profound inner conflict, a crippling imbalance. A man cut off from his anima may become emotionally sterile, unable to form deep connections. A woman disconnected from her animus may struggle to assert her will in the world, unable to bring her ideas to fruition. Wholeness, Jung argued, comes from embracing and integrating both. It's about a man learning to honor his feelings, his intuition, his capacity for nurturing. It's about a woman learning to harness her power, her logical mind, and her drive to achieve. It's not about becoming androgynous, it's about becoming complete. It is the sacred marriage within, the alchemical union of opposites that gives birth to a new, more integrated self. This inner balance is the true source of wisdom and creativity. It allows you to be both strong and soft, logical and intuitive, active and receptive. You stop living as half a person and start experiencing the full spectrum of your humanity. We've journeyed through the persona you show the world, faced the shadow you hide, and danced with the ancient archetypes within. But now we arrive at what might be Jung's most radical and liberating idea of all. It's an idea that challenges the very foundation of who you think you are. What is that I that you refer to all day long? I think, I feel, I want. This center of your conscious awareness, this sense of personal identity, is what we call the ego. And here is the revelation. Your ego is not the real you. Let that sink in for a moment. The self you identify with, your name, your job title, your memories, your story, your body, is only a tiny island in a vast ocean of consciousness. The ego is the manager, the gatekeeper. Its primary job is to organize your reality, to create a stable sense of identity, to make sense of the world. And it does this by clinging to what is known. It loves labels, routines, and familiar patterns. It tells you, I am an introvert, I am a victim, I am a success, I am a failure. It builds a fortress of identity to protect you from the terrifying boundlessness of reality. But in doing so, it limits you. As the existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre famously declared, existence precedes essence. This means you are not born with a fixed nature. You are born into a state of freedom, and you define yourself through your choices. Yet the ego fights against this freedom. It convinces you that your past defines your future. It makes you believe that the story you've been telling yourself is the only story possible. This attachment to a rigid, fixed self is the source of so much of our suffering. It's the cage that keeps you from your true potential. So, if the ego isn't the real you, what is? Jung called it the self, with a capital S. The self is not a thing, but a process. It is the totality of your being, the organizing principle that includes the conscious ego, the unconscious shadow, and all the archetypes. It is the entire ocean, not just the island. The self is a fluid, ever-evolving field of consciousness that transcends your personal history, your culture, even your own mind. It is the silent, witnessing presence that has been with you through every experience, the source of your deepest wisdom and intuition. The goal of individuation is not to destroy the ego, it is a vital tool, but to put it in its proper place. It's about shifting your center of gravity from the small, fearful ego to the vast, timeless self. This is the ultimate liberation. It's the moment you realize you are not the labels you carry. You are not your job, your relationship status, or your past traumas. You are the awareness that experiences all of these things. This shift is terrifying for the ego because it means letting go of control. It means releasing the need to have it all figured out. It means leaning into the unknown with curiosity and trust rather than fear. It's about understanding that you are not just a character in a story, but the author of the story itself, with the power to write a new chapter at any moment. When you stop clinging to the raft of the ego, you discover you can float in the entire ocean of being. You move from being a conditioned fragment bound by fear to an active participant in the unfolding mystery of consciousness. This journey from the conditioned ego to the authentic self might sound abstract, like something for mystics and philosophers, but the path of individuation is intensely practical. It is walked in the small, conscious choices you make every single day. So how do you begin? First, you must learn to listen. Your unconscious is constantly speaking to you, sending you messages from the deep. Its primary language is dreams. Start paying attention to your dreams. Keep a journal by your bed. When you wake up, write down whatever you remember, no matter how strange or nonsensical it seems. Don't try to interpret them literally. Look for the feelings, the symbols, the recurring themes. A dream of being chased might be your shadow asking you to stop running from a part of yourself. A dream of a wise old figure might be an archetype offering you guidance. These aren't just random brain firings, they are letters from yourself. Next, engage in creative expression. You don't have to be a great artist, just create. Paint, draw, write, play music, dance, sculpt with clay. Do anything that allows you to bypass the logical, censoring ego and access the raw material of your unconscious. Art is a portal. It's a way to give form to the formless, to make the shadow visible, to let the archetypes speak through you. When you are lost in a creative flow, you are connecting with the self. You are surfacing hidden fears, forgotten joys, and profound insights that words alone cannot capture. And perhaps most importantly, cultivate awareness in your waking life. This is the practice of standing back and questioning your own mind. When you feel a strong emotional reaction, don't just act on it. Pause. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this so intensely? Is this truly about this situation, or is it touching an old wound? Is this my authentic response, or is it my persona trying to manage the scene? This is not about self-judgment, it's about self-inquiry. It's about becoming a curious observer of your own inner world. The modern world offers us a million ways to avoid this inner work. When discomfort arises, we can distract ourselves with our phones, with endless entertainment, with busy work. The path of individuation asks you to do the opposite. When you feel that pang of anxiety, that flash of anger, that wave of sadness, turn toward it. Breathe into it. Stay with the discomfort. This is the sacred ground where transformation happens. It is in facing the heat, not escaping it, that the illusions of the ego begin to dissolve. As Viktor Frankl so powerfully taught, it is in our response to unavoidable suffering and discomfort that we find our deepest meaning and freedom. Ultimately, you stand at a crossroads. It is the most important choice of your life. You can continue to live as a conditioned fragment, bound by the scripts you were given, defined by the mask you wear, and haunted by the shadow you refuse to face. You can remain a passenger in a life driven by fear and the need for approval. Or you can choose the braver path. You can embark on the courageous journey inward. You can consciously integrate your persona and your shadow, find balance in the dance of your inner energies, and shift your allegiance from the fearful ego to the limitless self. You can start the messy, beautiful, and profoundly rewarding work of becoming who you truly are. This is not a path to a perfect life free from pain. It is the path to a real life, full of depth, meaning, and authenticity. Because, as Jung knew, your life doesn't truly begin when you are born. It begins the moment you decide to find yourself. The choice, as always, is yours. What will it be?